Have you ever wondered why some people build wealth year after year without struggling, while others work twice as hard, yet never seem to move forward? I used to believe that as long as you work hard, save every penny, and stay disciplined, the future would take care of itself. But when I started watching how truly wealthy people manage their money, I discovered a secret that most of us were never taught. The rich aren't just good at making money, they're masters at avoiding the silent traps that drain wealth. There's an unwritten playbook that almost nobody talks about. You won't find complicated investment formulas or billion-dollar business hacks inside it. Instead, it's a list of things the wealthy deliberately avoid. What makes them different is that they understand which seemingly harmless expenses quietly bleed away money from most Americans. The truly wealthy don't rush to buy flashy things just to prove something. They patiently build a strong financial foundation by refusing to fall into the financial traps that most of us think are normal. And in this video, I will share 10 traps with you. Each trap is like a leak in your financial bucket, silently transferring your money into someone else's pocket. The interesting part: these traps are not tricky to avoid, but one catch: you must be willing to think differently from the crowd. So let's dive in together and see how many of these traps you might be caught in now. 1. Brand new cars. The vehicle that makes you poor. Have you ever noticed that among the things Americans are most willing to take on long-term debt for, a brand new car is always at the top of the list? For many people, a new car is seen as a symbol of success. That new car smell, the shiny interior, the modern tech features, all of it tugs at your emotions and convinces you that this is a smart purchase. But the truth? A brand new car is one of the biggest financial traps most Americans willingly enter. The simple reason: depreciation hits instantly. The value of a new car starts dropping the moment you drive it off the lot. Statistics show that a brand new vehicle loses about 15% to 20% of its value in the first year alone. That means if you buy an SUV for $50,000 today, you've already lost at least $7,500 to $10,000 on paper by the time you drive it home. And within the first 5 years, that vehicle could lose more than half its value. The problem gets worse with financing. Here's where it hurts. Most people don't pay cash for a car, they finance it. For the first few years, you're still paying monthly installments based on the original price, plus interest, while the car's actual value is dropping like a rock. I once met a guy named Tom in Dallas. He bought a brand new pickup truck for $52,000 with a 6-year loan. 3 years later, the truck's value had dropped to $28,000. But his remaining loan balance, still over $30,000. Not only did he lose value, but he also owed more than the car was worth. A deadly combination that makes you poorer faster. How wealthy people think differently. Wealthy people look at cars differently. They know a car is a tool for transportation, not an investment. Many millionaires still drive cars that are a few years old but in great shape. I once spoke with a tech entrepreneur in California. He's worth tens of millions, yet he drives a 5-year-old Lexus that he bought for half the price of a new one. He told me, "I want my money working for me, not sitting in the garage losing value." Let's do the math. Instead of buying a brand new $50,000 car, imagine purchasing a 3-year-old model for $30,000. Take the $20,000 you saved and invest it in an S&P 500 index fund with an average return of 8% per year. Fast forward 20 years. That $20,000 could grow into more than $90,000. Today's wise decision could mean almost $100,000 more in your future net worth. The more innovative way to own a car. The answer isn't to stop owning cars. It's to buy smarter. Choose a 2 to 3-year-old car that's still under warranty. Stick with reliable models like the Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, Ford F-150. Consider the total cost of ownership, not just the sticker price, interest, insurance, depreciation. And most importantly, don't buy to show off, buy to serve your needs. Wealthy people understand one thing: the newer the car, the faster you get poor. Not because a new car is bad, but because it robs you of the chance to let your money work for you. So before you sign a 6-year loan for a shiny new ride, ask yourself, do you want to show off a short-term win today or build lasting wealth over the next 10 or 20 years? Your answer will decide which side of the financial game you end up on. 2. Timeshares, a vacation trap that locks you in. When you hear timeshare, you probably picture a luxurious vacation in Florida or a high-end condo in Hawaii. The idea sounds tempting. Pay a one-time fee and you get a few weeks of guaranteed vacation at a beautiful resort every year. No worrying about hotel prices, no scrambling for reservations. It sounds like a wise investment in relaxation. But when you look closer, a timeshare is one of the biggest financial traps many Americans walk into without realizing it. How it starts. Sweet and shiny. It usually begins with an invitation to a fancy presentation, complimentary drinks, gifts, and a polished pitch that makes everyone feel like they've just discovered the secret to luxury vacations. All you have to do is sign a contract and make an upfront payment, usually $20,000 to $40,000, and suddenly you own a slice of vacation property at a popular resort. But that's just the beginning. The hidden cost, annual fees that never stop after you sign. You're on the hook for mandatory annual maintenance fees, typically $900 to $1,500 yearly. And here's the kicker: these fees almost always go up. Fast forward 10 years, and many owners are paying $2,500 or more annually, whether they take a vacation or not. This becomes an invisible shackle that ties you to your timeshare forever. A real story. Take Linda and her husband from Arizona. In 2012, they eagerly signed a timeshare contract at a Nevada resort for $25,000. The first year, great. By the third year, they realized their family schedule no longer lined up with the fixed vacation time. They tried to sell their share, but no one wanted to buy it. At one point, they even offered extra money to a resale company just to help them escape the contract. Still no luck. The ugly truth: no liquidity. The biggest problem with timeshares is that they're almost impossible to resell. Once you buy one, you're stuck. The resale market is full of desperate owners trying to get out, but almost nobody is looking to get in. Some people sell their timeshares for $1 just to escape the annual fees. Timeshares also steal your freedom. You're locked into one location, one set of dates, and one property's service standards. Compare that to simply booking a hotel or an Airbnb. You can pick anywhere you want, any time you want, based on your schedule, your budget, and your preferences. Why wealthy people avoid timeshares? Wealthy people value flexibility over being locked in. They are willing to pay for experiences, but refuse to tie themselves to a contract that bleeds money yearly without any return. The smarter alternative: if you love to travel yearly, create a vacation fund and invest that money. The returns can pay for your trips without locking you into a contract. When it's time to travel, simply book luxury condos through Airbnb or VRBO. You'll often spend far less in the long run than on a timeshare. Remember, a timeshare is not an asset. It's a long-term financial obligation. Before getting swept up by the glossy presentations, ask yourself, are you buying financial freedom or signing away your flexibility for years to come? Wealthy people always choose flexibility and control, and that's the kind of ownership that genuinely matters. 3. Luxury brands, the price of showing off. In America, it's not hard to spot this scene. Someone walking in $1,200 Gucci shoes, carrying a $3,000 Louis Vuitton bag, wearing a $15,000 Rolex watch. But their bank account barely has a few $1,000s in it. This luxury for show financial trap quietly keeps millions of people stuck in the money game. The psychology behind it. Most people justify these purchases by saying, "I deserve to reward myself." But in reality, most luxury purchases are made to impress others, not because of quality. Instead of putting money into things that grow wealth, they spend it on items that lose value the moment they leave the store. A real-life example, I remember the story of Jake, an office worker in California. Over 10 years, he built a complete collection of luxury items: Tag Heuer watches, premium leather bags, limited edition sneakers. In just a few years, he spent around $90,000. Then last year, a financial crisis hit. Jake had to sell his collection to pay the bills. The result? Items he paid thousands of dollars for were now worth only 30% to 40% of what he originally paid. How the wealthy think differently. Honestly, wealthy people think oppositely. They don't need luxury goods to prove their worth. Mark Cuban, billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks, once admitted that when he was broke, he loved luxury brands. But later, he realized clothes would never make him rich. Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, still wears regular suits and has breakfast at McDonald's for $3.17. The hidden cost? Opportunity. The opportunity cost of luxury spending is huge. Imagine buying a $4,000 designer handbag instead of investing that money in an S&P 500 index fund, earning an average of 8% yearly. In 20 years, that investment could grow to over $18,000. A $10,000 luxury watch. In 20 years, that money could be $45,000 if invested. This doesn't mean you should never buy nice things. The key is timing and proportion. The wealthy follow a simple principle: assets first. They focus on building income-producing assets before indulging. When your investment portfolio generates passive income many times greater than the price of a luxury item, buying one becomes a reward, not a setback. Smarter alternatives. Wealthy Americans often take a more innovative approach. Buy pre-owned. Platforms like Fashion File, The Real Real, or Vestiaire Collective sell authentic luxury items at 30 to 60% off retail. Rent instead of owning. Services like Rent the Runway let you enjoy high-end fashion by season without tying up your money. Luxury itself isn't bad, but luxury without assets is like taking out a loan against your future. If you're holding a $4,000 handbag but still making mortgage payments, you're buying an image, not freedom. The real question you need to ask yourself is, do I want to look rich today, or do I want to be truly rich 10 to 20 years from now? The wealthy choose the second answer, and everything they do aligns with that choice. 4. Lotteries and casinos. Betting on hope. In the US, people spend tens of billions of dollars yearly on lottery tickets and casinos. They see it as a chance to change their lives, but these are some of the most sophisticated money-draining machines ever created. Lotteries and casinos are not wealth-building strategies. They are attacks on hope. The illusion of a jackpot. It sounds exciting when someone in Florida wins a $300 million Powerball jackpot. But here's what you don't hear. The odds of winning Powerball are 1 in 292 million, worse than being struck by lightning several times. Your chance of winning is almost zero. But the money you spend on tickets, that leaves your wallet with 100% certainty. A real story. I remember the story of Linda, a woman from Ohio. For 15 years, she bought lottery tickets every week, spending an average of $40 monthly. When she finally did the math, she realized she had spent over $7,000, and the most significant prize she ever won $100. If she had invested that $7,000 into an S&P 500 index fund, earning 8% a year, after 15 years, it would have grown to over $20,000. Casinos are no different. Casinos are built so that the house always wins in the long run. Las Vegas didn't become a shining city because gamblers kept winning. It became what it is because gamblers kept losing. Sure, you might see a few people hit a big jackpot, but stay there long enough, and math will always tilt in favor of the casino. Why do people still play? Because of emotion. When you buy a ticket or sit in front of a slot machine, you're not just buying a chance. You're buying hope, excitement, and the dream of a new life. Lottery is often called a tax on people who aren't good at math. What wealthy people do instead, wealthy people rarely buy lottery tickets or gamble. Instead of betting on luck, they bet on games where the odds favor them. Investing in stocks, real estate, or businesses. Learning new skills to increase income. Leveraging compound growth, the one game where the longer you play, the more certain your win becomes. Does this mean you should never play? Not at all. A couple of dollars here and there for entertainment is fine, but making it a habit, that's one of the fastest ways to burn your money quietly. If you enjoy the thrill of playing, consider what some smart Americans do. Create a small fun fund, 1 to 2% of your income, for lottery tickets or poker nights with friends. Treat it as entertainment, not as a way to get rich. Or turn that thrill into a winning game. Use apps like Acorns or Robinhood to invest a few dollars at a time. You'll still feel excitement, but this time as your money starts making money. I once asked a successful entrepreneur how he felt about playing the lottery. He laughed and said, "If I'm going to bet, I'll bet on myself and my business. That's the only game where I control the odds." Lotteries and casinos promise a life-changing win overnight. But 99.99% of people trade away a lifetime of hard work for a few minutes of thrill. So here's the question. Do you want to bet your future on a ticket or yourself? Wealthy people always choose the second option, and that's one big reason the financial gap keeps getting wider. A dollar spent on a dream is fun, but betting your entire future on a lottery ticket, that's no longer a dream, it's a trap. 5. Credit card debt. The interest trap. Credit card debt would be at the top if we had to name one silent enemy that keeps millions of Americans stuck in a financial hamster wheel. It's small and slim, just a plastic card in your wallet. But for banks, it's a money printing machine. And for those who don't know how to use it, it's a wealth-destroying machine. How the trap works. Imagine this. You swipe your card to buy a $3,000 TV. It feels easy because the statement says, minimum payment, only $60 a month. But behind that small number is a brutal reality. The average credit card interest rate in the US is around 20% per year, with some cards going over 25%. At that rate, your $3,000 TV, if only paid with minimum payments, could easily cost you an extra $2,000 to $3,000 in interest over the years. That means you end up paying double for the same TV. A real-life example, Mark, 38 from Dallas, is a perfect example. It all started with $5,000 in credit card debt, furniture purchases, and a vacation. He thought, as long as I make the minimum payments, I'll be fine. 8 years later, even though he never missed a payment, his balance was still $4,500. By then, he had already paid more than $9,000, nearly double the original amount, and the debt still wasn't gone. This is precisely how the system is designed. The longer you stay in debt, the more money the bank earns. How wealthy people use credit cards. Wealthy people think about credit cards in a completely different way. They treat them as tools, not as cash. They use cards for purchase protection, rewards points, and cashback perks. But their golden rule, always pay the full balance every month. They never pay even a penny of interest to the bank. This simple difference creates a sharp line between those who use credit cards and those who get used by credit cards. Why credit card debt is more dangerous than other types of debt: sky-high interest rates. At 20% a year, you'd need to earn a 20% return to break even, something professional investors struggle to do. No asset creation. Unlike a mortgage or business loan, credit card debt usually funds consumables, electronics, travel, dining, things that don't grow in value. Reverse compounding. If you don't pay off your balance, interest compounds on itself. Your debt snowballs in the wrong direction. How to escape this trap? Stop using your card to spend beyond your means. Only swipe if you know you can pay the full balance at the end of the month. If you already have debt, use the avalanche method. Pay the minimum on all cards, then throw every extra dollar at the card with the highest interest. Once that's cleared, move on to the next. Transfer your balance to a 0% introductory APR card, or consolidate your debt into a lower interest loan to stop the bleeding faster. Credit card debt is more than just a financial burden. It's emotional. Sleepless nights, stress, and missed investment opportunities because your money is chained to interest payments. Wealthy people don't become rich by avoiding all risk. They become rich by understanding the rules of the game. In the financial game, a credit card is like a double-edged sword. Use it wrong, and it cuts you. Use it right, and it slices fruit with ease. So here's the question. Are you letting your credit card make money off you, or are you using it to make money off the bank? This single decision could be one of the most critical steps toward escaping debt and starting your journey to financial freedom. 6. Expensive degrees in the wrong major. One of the biggest financial traps millions of Americans still fall into today is this: paying for an expensive college degree, but choosing the wrong major. It sounds like a smart move, investing in your future. But the reality is that not every degree delivers a return that matches its cost. The high price of a diploma. In the US, a 4-year college degree costs on average more than $100,000, and that's before interest on student loans. By the time they graduate, many students are already buried under $40,000 to $80,000 of debt, and that's just the average. The real danger? Too many students pick a major based on passion, tradition, or family pressure without considering their earning potential after graduation. A real example, take Emily from Florida. She loved art growing up and decided to major in photography. After 4 years of college and over $60,000 in student loans, Emily faced a harsh reality. The only job she could get paid $32,000 a year. 5 years after graduation, despite making monthly payments, she has barely chipped away at the principal on her loans. Her life is now limited by the financial weight of a degree that doesn't generate enough income to cover the cost of getting it. How wealthy families think differently. Wealthy and financially aware families see college costs differently. They treat education expenses like any other investment, always calculating ROI, return on investment. Before choosing a school or a major, they ask, how much will this program cost? What's the average starting salary for this field? How long will it take to break even? Are there more affordable paths that lead to the same skills? The job market has changed. Today, many high-paying jobs no longer require an expensive college degree. Fields like IT, cybersecurity, data analytics, UX/UI design and programming now offer alternative paths, 6 to 12-month boot camps or certification programs that cost under $10,000 yet lead to starting salaries of $60,000 to $80,000. That's far more than what some traditional bachelor's degrees deliver. Even wealthy families are choosing smarter routes, doing the first 2 years at a community college, a fraction of the cost, before transferring to a major university. using scholarships and grants instead of taking on high-interest loans. The real mistake. Too many people treat a diploma as the destination when it should be just a tool. What matters isn't the piece of paper, it's practical skills and your ability to turn those skills into income. If you or your children are considering college, don't let emotions make the decision. Run the numbers. Compare multiple paths, 4-year degrees, trade schools, specialized certifications, or a mix of both. And don't assume that college is the only route to financial success. An expensive degree in the wrong major can turn your 20s and 30s into a race to pay off debt instead of building wealth. Wealthy people understand one simple truth. Education expenses must come with a financial return. Investing in the proper education is a lever. Investing in the wrong one is a lifelong burden. Have you ever calculated the ROI of your degree? If not, maybe it's time to ask yourself, will this investment of time and money truly pay off in the future? 7. Yachts and luxury. Toys you hardly use on the list of wealth traps that make many Americans look rich while quietly bleeding money, yachts and rarely used luxury toys deserve a special mention. These are some of the most expensive purchases with the lowest financial return. The illusion of owning a yacht. Picture this. You buy a shiny new yacht for $150,000. Sounds glamorous, right? But here's the reality. That yacht will cost you at least $10,000 to $15,000 a year just for upkeep, dock fees, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs. And statistics show that most yacht owners only use their boats 10 to 15 days a year. When you do the math, each day on the water could easily cost you thousands of dollars, not even counting the money you tied up in the boat. A real-life example. Take the Johnson family from California. They bought a $120,000 yacht, dreaming of weekend trips on the ocean. 3 years later, they had barely used it a handful of times. When they decided to sell, the boat's resale value had dropped to around $70,000. That's a $50,000 loss from depreciation, plus over $30,000 in maintenance costs during those 3 years. This asset cost them nearly $80,000 for just a few short outings. How wealthy people do it differently. Truly wealthy people value experiences, not ownership. When they want a yacht, they rent one. In the US, platforms like Get My Boat and BoatSetter let you rent a yacht for $400 to $700 daily. Even at 10 rental days a year, that's only $5,000 to $7,000 annually, a fraction of the cost of owning one. It's not just yachts. This same trap applies to private jets, vacation homes, exotic sports cars. The problem isn't luxury itself. The problem is low usage and opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend maintaining rarely used luxury items is a dollar you could have invested in assets that grow. Timing matters. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy life. The key is timing. If your finances aren't rock solid yet, buying expensive items you only use a few times a year is the fastest way to bury your cash. The wealthy buy only when 1. Their investments generate plenty of passive income, and 2. Maintenance costs are just a small fraction of that income. The takeaway: don't buy luxury assets just to show off. Rent to experience. When your cash flow is strong enough, ownership becomes a reward, not a burden. What would you do with $150,000? Would you buy a yacht or invest that money so that 10 years from now you'd have both the capital and the passive income to rent any yacht you like anytime you want? That's how wealthy people think differently. 8. Whole life insurance. When protection becomes a financial trap. Among the 10 wealth-draining traps in America, whole life insurance is one of the most subtle. At first glance, it sounds like the perfect combo. Insurance plus investment, 2 in 1. safe for life. But in reality, this is one of the most expensive and least effective financial products that traps the middle class year after year. What they promise versus what you pay. Insurance companies pitch whole life as, "You'll be protected for life and your extra premiums will grow over time." What they don't highlight is how much it costs. Whole life premiums are 5 to 10 times more expensive than term life insurance. For example, a 40-year-old wanting $500,000 of coverage for 20 years. Term life, about $400 per year. Whole life, about $4,000 per year. That $3,600 difference, if invested in an S&P 500 index fund with an average 8% return, could grow to over $170,000 in 20 years. The hidden problem: poor investment performance. The investment portion of whole life grows painfully slowly. Most of your premium goes to commissions and fees in the early years. Only after 7 to 10 years does the cash value grow meaningfully. A friend of mine, John in Texas, paid over $25,000 in premiums across 8 years. When he needed cash, the insurance company told him his surrender value was just over $20,000. If John had invested the same amount separately, he could have grown that money by 50% or more. How wealthy people handle insurance. Wealthy people learned this long ago. They buy insurance only for protection, not as an investment. Their approach is simple. They only buy term life when they need income protection, raising kids, paying off a mortgage, family expenses. Take the money they save by not buying whole life and invest it in assets with higher returns, ETFs, stocks, or real estate. The common mistake: many believe that a whole life policy is mandatory for leaving money behind. But the truth is, smart investing creates far more wealth and offers much more flexibility than locking money into an overpriced, underperforming policy. If you already have a whole life policy, don't panic. Instead, review your situation. Do you need lifetime coverage? Can you do a 1035 exchange to move the cash value into a more suitable product? Or stop paying premiums and simply keep the accumulated cash value? The key lesson: insurance is for protection. Investments are for growth. When you mix the two, you lose flexibility and efficiency. So here's the question. Do you want your money tied up in a slow-growing insurance policy? Or do you want to control it yourself and grow it faster? This is one of the most apparent differences between how the wealthy and the middle class treat life insurance. Are you buying insurance for protection, or have you accidentally turned it into an expensive investment? Comment below which team you're on. Here's a smooth video script-style English translation of your requested content for both sections. 9. Constant tech upgrades. The endless money drain. Have you noticed how every single year Apple, Samsung, and other tech giants release a new phone or laptop, slightly better than the previous one, but their ads make you feel like your current device is suddenly outdated? This is the trap of constant upgrades, an endless cycle that drains your money in exchange for nothing more than a short burst of excitement. The cycle of upgrades. Imagine buying a brand new iPhone for $1,200 the day it launches. Next year, another $1,200 just because the camera is 10% sharper or the chip is 15% faster. Over 10 years, these upgrades cost you more than $12,000. If you had invested that same money in an S&P 500 index fund at 8% annual growth, you would have close to $18,000, while your older phone would still work just fine. A real-life example: David from California told me that for 8 years he bought the newest iPhone on launch day, without fail. Total spent over $10,000 just on phones. Meanwhile, his son's 3-year-old iPhone still runs smoothly after a simple battery replacement. When he did the math, David realized that money could have been a down payment on a house. or a solid start to a retirement fund? How wealthy people think differently. Wealthy people know this game. Warren Buffett used an outdated flip phone for years before finally switching to a smartphone. They don't care about having the newest version. They only upgrade when the device truly no longer supports their work. How to break free one. Extend the life of your devices. Replace the battery or upgrade RAM SSD before buying new. A $200 upgrade can make an older laptop run well for another 3 to 4 years. 2. Buy one generation behind. When the new model came out, last year's model dropped 20 to 30% in price and had almost identical features. 3. See tech as a tool, not a status symbol. A new phone won't make you rich, but investing the money you save definitely can make you rich. Every time you upgrade unnecessarily, you give up the chance to let your money grow. The thrill of a new gadget lasts a few months. The financial impact lasts for years. Ask yourself, are you upgrading because you need it or just to keep up? Wealthy people choose simplicity and let their money work for them. How about you? Comment below. How often do you upgrade your phone? 10. Lavish weddings. One day, a lifetime of debt in the US. A wedding is the biggest day of your life. But behind the romance, the wedding industry has turned this dream into one of the largest financial traps. The real cost of a dream wedding. According to The Knot, the average wedding cost $2,023, topped $30,000, which doesn't even include the honeymoon. That's the price of a brand new car or a down payment on a house. And here's the kicker. Many couples start their married life already in debt from that day. Why weddings become a trap? It begins with social pressure. We have to make it grand so we don't look bad compared to friends. So they rent fancy venues, buy $5,000 dresses, hire photographers, videographers, DJs, luxury catering, floral design, all for just a few hours. The day ends, but the debt lingers for decades. A personal loan or credit card with 10 to 15% interest can easily make the total cost 50% higher over time. A real example, Tom and Linda spent nearly $50,000 on a wedding of a lifetime in Florida. That debt followed them for 7 years. Meanwhile, their friends, Mark and Susan, spent just $7,000 on a backyard ceremony with close family. They invested the rest into a small condo. 10 years later, the condo's value doubled, while Tom and Linda were still paying off their wedding loan. The cost of opportunity. If that $30,000 were invested in an S&P 500 index fund with an 8% return, it could grow to over $300,000 in 30 years, enough for a comfortable retirement. That's the hidden price most couples don't see. How wealthy couples think wealthy couples don't let emotions or social pressure control their finances. They see a wedding as a starting point, not a competition. Many American millionaires host small, intimate ceremonies, inviting only family and close friends, and invest the rest of their money into their future. How to avoid the trap 1. Set a clear budget and don't spend more than you have. 2. Focus on experiences and meaning, not extravagance. 3. Choose smart venues, backyards, parks, or beautiful outdoor locations at low cost. 4. Invest first. Celebrate later. Plan a trip or party that won't put you into debt once your finances are solid. A wedding lasts one day. Marriage and your finances last a lifetime. Which way will you start your story? With joy or with debt? Do you agree that a simple wedding and investing the difference is smarter? Comment below and share your thoughts. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many of these 10 wealth-destroying assets are quietly present in your life right now? A shiny new car, a timeshare that looks like an investment vacation, that designer bag to impress others, or a lavish wedding that buys a few hours of admiration. These things seem harmless, but they are traps that drain money from your pocket daily. The common thread among all 10 of these mistakes is simple. They make you poorer slowly, without you even noticing. Wealthy people don't build their fortunes by working twice as hard. They build it by avoiding bad financial decisions. They don't let emotions or social pressure dictate their money. Instead, they choose clarity and patience, making money work for them, not vice versa. And here's the biggest takeaway from today. Don't trade real wealth for the feeling of looking rich. Now it's your turn. Which of these 10 financial traps surprised you the most? Have you ever fallen into one of them? Most importantly, which one will you eliminate after watching this video? Leave your answers in the comments below. I read every single one. Your story could be the guidance someone else desperately needs to escape their financial dead end. If you found this helpful, hit like, share this video with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep learning how to escape the spending traps and build true financial freedom. Your future starts with a single clear decision you make today.